downfield. Can they do it again? Yes, they can!
And the catch is made by Taj Washington. Touchdown, USC.
Blocked by Embiid! Timmy, yes!
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Beef Upfront podcast here on PickSwap Media. This is your host, Ryan Coyle. As always, back with part 3 of our Breakdowns with Beef series, breaking down Bryce Young's film. So far, I've gone through his Tennessee game, his LSU game. Today, we'll be going down the Texas game. Got all his throws from this entire game, as well as some of his running plays, too. So we're going to be going through, breaking it down play-by-play. Going to crack a cold one. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to talk some ball and get after it. All right. So this is a Bryce Young versus Texas game. This was second game of the season. Texas, going through the film, Texas really outplayed them throughout the game, and they definitely should have won. If you remember watching this at the beginning of the season, they looked like they were storming down the field, and then Quinn Ewers, their quarterback, hurt his shoulder. He was out for another 6 weeks after this. If he played that whole game, I think they win. The more I watch Alabama through this Bryce Young film study, the less talented this team appeared to be, and kind of, I guess, shows more with Bryce still having them in position to be in the playoff potentially. Shows just the type of quarterback he is and the type of caliber player that he is. Doesn't put up crazy stats in this game. He goes 27 for 39 for 213 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions. He does have one that's dropped. And he rushes 7 times for 38 yards, leading his team to a 22-19 victory over Texas, including a last-minute, 2-minute drive to win the game for his Alabama Crimson Tide. So, like I said, we're going to go through the entire game here, break it down, all is hang out and talk some ball for Bryce Young. All right, so let's get into it here. Started off, Alabama always loves to go quick on this first play. It's usually a screen or something in the flat. You see him here. One of his nice traits that I really have came on to him about is his ability to throw to the backs. I know that's a short, little, simple throw, but his ability to get it to a back, especially a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a very good receiving back and is able to create with the ball in his hands, he always seems to put it in a good spot for him to do some work, whether it's a bubble screen, something in the flat, an angle route. I think whoever does wind up taking him, it's either going to be the Panthers or the Texans, I believe. Getting a very good pass-catching, third-down type running back should be a high thing on their priority list. Another play there, just simply getting it out into the flat. If you've watched my other ones, he's very good at being like a point guard type quarterback out on the floor, just dinking, dunking, taking what he gets at certain times. Really doesn't press too much. He usually tends to just do what the defense gives him, and he does that really well. So this one, we see him get kind of pressured and throw off his back foot. I know you're not going to have a clean pocket each and every time, but the third time watching him through a full game now, you start to see some of the consistent trends pop up. I kind of watch these games in reverse order. Like the Tennessee game we did first, that was in the middle of the season. The LSU game was towards the back end. And then this game was at the very beginning. But you kind of notice the same trends in his game. When he messes up, he's doing the same thing wrong. And when he's playing well, he's doing the same thing right. You're not always going to have that clean pocket and be able to step up. But there's a spot for him to make this throw, and he throws it off his back foot. I know he's getting pressured. But if you listen to the other ones, when he throws off his back foot, he's usually missing high and he's missing away too. So this is another instance here where if he does step up into this, we've seen the touch and the ability and the accuracy from him before to float it over the top there and kind of fit it in. He's unable to do that here, getting pressured, and he throws it off his back foot. It's kind of like that fadeaway, and he takes a big hit there too. Don't like to see that for a guy of his stature. See that's an instance where that's one of the very good things he does. We'll wait to see the back angle. This angle's better, but kept pretty clean in the pocket. But you see it right here. He's got this little bit of a window. He's got this hole. This is thrown into some zone coverage here. But he steps up and he delivers it. Every time he is able to step up, it's almost a perfect throw each and every time. He knows he's going to have this little window open here. He steps up, delivers a strike, move the chains again. Another instance there, an open throw, but he puts the guy in stride. We'll see it later in the game. He throws one going the opposite direction to a receiver on a screen, and it's just a hair behind him, like on his outside shoulder. It should be on the inside, so he's going upfield. It's on that outside shoulder. Just that fraction of a second, even against like a Texas defender. Imagine what you're doing against an NFL defender. That gives them that fraction of a second that they need to close the gap and make a tackle, and it's a tackle for loss. You saw on that play, he puts it out in front of him. This ball is behind him at all. That completely throws off the play. He's able to throw it out in front of him, give him space to go, and he's able to pick up a pretty nice gain of about 7-8 yards there on first down. That one is I'm going to chalk that one up to like a coverage sack. You'll kind of see it here. The right tackle does get beat. As I was saying, this Alabama team's not very good. This Texas defense, whoever the Texas defensive coordinator was, put it together a hell of a game plan. I think he did as much as he could possible. But this Alabama team is they're the schemes and the talent that they have. They act like they still have Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs running around out there, when in reality these guys are not that. And that really does show up on tape throughout this game. And this is early in the season. You kind of saw those trends go throughout. But this one's more so a coverage sack. This is a scenario where I believe this is a third down here. Rewind it real quick. Yeah, we got a 3rd and 7 here. So do or die down. This is where I'd like to see Bryce Young use his legs more and get out of the pocket and use that mobility. He does do it throughout the game. I have it in my notes. He's kind of like a Patrick Mahomes rusher where game on the line, he really needs to. He'll tuck and run, but I think he wants to limit the amount of contact he has, which is smart. But 3rd and 7 here, I think there's ability to at least step up and get a few more yards for a potential field goal. Instead, he takes a sack. I believe they do still kick a field goal here, but this is a pretty deep field goal for a college kicker. You'll see the coverage is really good. This is more so a coverage sack. The receiver's not getting open. But there is some space, I think, for him to at least pick up another 3-4 yards and maybe even get yourself into 4th and manageable and you're able to go for it. You'll see here there's a little bit of space right over here once he drops back, but he doesn't take advantage of that, and that's something I would like to see him do just a little bit more. Like right here, you got this guy in coverage. He's kind of in there spying, but Bryce Young is able to go here. If this receiver just kind of runs into his way a little bit, and even if he just turns around and starts blocking, Bryce Young has a pretty decent chance to potentially pick up a first down. Said he sits in that pocket a little bit too long. Even if he flushes, like this receiver over the middle, so this guy's spying. His eyes are on Bryce. His responsibility is Bryce Young here. You got this or DB kind of trailing, but if Bryce is able to even just flush out of the pocket a little bit, he could throw his guy open right over here instead of results in a sack on 3rd down. See, that's one where it's like a half step up where he kind of steps into it, but he's still like fading away a little bit off his back foot. And the corner jumps this one. This one should be a pick, and he has room to run if he does get it. That's a potential like game-changing play right there. But it results in an incomplete pass. But this should be interception and a play that Bryce certainly would like to have back. Just watch the weight. It's still transferred back a little bit. He does wind up stepping like kind of into it, but not fully. And I think that kind of takes some of the juice off of his pass. See here, this corner reads it really well. Playing zone back there. When he jumps it, he just not able to convert it there. Quick wah-wah ad thrown in there. That looks pretty good, actually. That goes back to where I kind of said about at the beginning. He's really good when it comes to throwing it to the backs. And like if whoever does pick him, the Texans or the Panthers, if they're picking up early in the 2nd round as well, I wouldn't be opposed to them taking like a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, because this is a nice little angle route. Gibbs is probably the best receiving back in this year's draft, but very good at throwing to the backs, and he knows where they are. I feel like at all times he's always kind of got that in the back of his head, and we see this a lot from Alabama throughout the year. Watching 3 of their full offensive games, they really know how to use the running back spot, and I think that's something that he's going to be really comfortable with, especially if he goes to the Panthers, where I saw today they have 65 years of NFL experience between either playing or coaching the quarterback spot on their coaching staff. I think Bryce Young is going to be able to relate to those guys really easy, and they're going to try and build the simplest or most easy offense around him and build the guys that he kind of needs to excel with if he does wind up going to Carolina. We'll see another example here of just him hitting the running back on the angle route. Knows where he is, needs 6 yards, he gets 7. Another play there where he does step up. He is able to deliver a strike and moves the chains on 3rd and 12. That's one of the things Texas does bad in this one, not get off the field on 3rd down that well. This is a play I alluded to a little bit earlier where this is a screen. Watch here. It's just thrown a little bit behind him. That gives – he doesn't really block his man that well. And it's kind of this is one of those plays where, all right, this receiver is blocking this corner. He has to make him miss. Any fraction of a second where he's turning and catching it and having to adjust gives this defensive back a chance to go up and get a beeline on the ball and hit him. And that ultimately wrecks his play and gives us 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13. Potentially, this is a play that if he does make him miss, he's got nothing but green grass in front of him. So just watch it here, the ball a little bit behind him, just these little intricacies that he needs to certainly clean up on some plays. But, it's going to happen. Every quarterback's not perfect. Just a little behind him there. Unable to make his man miss, and there we are, 2nd and 11. See, I don't really like the play calling out of Alabama. I don't think Bill O'Brien, we'll watch this play if this plays a sack here, but I don't think Bill O'Brien and the offensive staff really give him much of a chance on some plays. Like they're dialing up plays for their previous talent, the guys that we've seen rock in the NFL, like Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. We touched on Henry Ruggs a little bit, what we saw from him while he was still playing, but this is a offense not built for the talent that they had on this roster, and I think that kind of does Bryce Young a bit of a disservice. It helps his completion numbers in some regard, but too many screens and lateral plays for guys that aren't good enough. So we'll see here. I believe they show it from the different angle as well. This is another play, not really his fault. I think the running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. So this is a free rusher here. It looks like his protection, he goes over here. Not sure if Bryce is supposed to alter this protection to have Gibbs pick him up, but he basically just the Red Sea's part, and he is able to just go in there and get a sack on Bryce Young. I'm not going to say not much you can do about that. There's always something you can do, but one extra man in the rush. This play is just a disaster from the start. It might have even been beneficial for them to just use a timeout on this play. But you'll see the free rush here. Gibbs kind of strolls over, and he's looking to pick up one of these guys, I guess, coming off the edge. It might have even been smarter if he would have just lined up on the other side if that's what he was doing. But this is just a complete free rush here and results in a sack. This one just a little bit behind him here. I remember writing some good notes about this play. Watch all the green grass in front here. There is a potential to, if he throws him open here, he can catch it and run if he's able to make that one guy miss and run for days and potentially score a touchdown here. So watch it. I love watching from the back angle. It's so much more better being able to see what the quarterback sees. But this is another instance where, all right, we have this guy here. He's kind of spying. I think Bryce might think he's coming down a little bit. So he throws it. It's a little bit behind him, but if Bryce even maneuvers a little bit this way and he does a nice little touch pass kind of over the top loft, he might be able to hit this guy and, like I said, run for days there. Even now, I don't think that safety or that D-back, whatever position he has the range to come down and make a play like that right away. Throw him open a little bit. Put it out in front of him. Put it over Zero's head, kind of towards the ref more, and let your guy go make a play out there. Winds up throwing it behind him. It's also a play where not the worst idea in the world if maybe you're on the better communication, but that also has potential to be like that whip route where 80 comes in here, and then you see his back turn. 80 comes in here. I know this is something that just talking on the fly, it's easier to say, but this guy's already downhill committing to coming down. He whips right back out, and then he has an out route there, and he's able to turn and run. So just a few different variations. That might have been some timing off there on that one. That could have been a potential option, but results in an incomplete pass. Just a quick little dink and duck there. Just taking what the defense gave him at that point. This is, I had all caps on this one, special play, and that goes back to the talent around Bryce Young and this Alabama team not really working out in his favor. This is a very special play, and I think the thing that makes him the most special, his ability to make these defensive linemen miss. Quick twitch guy. He's able to quickly stop on a dime, reset his feet, and if he wants to continue to run, or reset his feet and get ready to throw. Great play here. Hits his receiver right square in the hands, maybe a little bit too far. If he hits him in stride, that's a touchdown on that one. But this is a play the receiver definitely should make, and a play that your guys on Sundays are most likely going to be making. But just watch his ability to roll out of the pocket here, stop on a dime, completely juke this defender out of his shoes, keeps his eyes downfield, which is another one of his great attributes, and deliver this pass right on a dime, just the receiver doesn't bring it in. And this is something where we saw in a few other games where his receivers have let him down. It's right here. Completely stops, basically hand touching the floor. It's like a crossover, making your guy fall pretty much on the basketball court. And his eyes are continually downfield the whole time while being chased. And he hits this guy on the move on a dime. That should be a catch. And he should keep his feet too. There's no reason to dive there right off the hands. But that's a special play, and one that certainly, if you're just box score watching, you're not going to notice. But watching the film, it comes up as incompletion in the box score. But watching the film, you know that that's a special play from Bryce Young. Doesn't recognize the blitz there off the weak side. He's able to get it at the Gibbs though before getting sacked. That is a tough throw to make between four guys, but there is a little bit of a spot to make it. We have seen him make some nice touch passes like that before. That's a really tough play to make though on 3rd and 17. So not really going to read too much into that one, but misses high a little bit, throwing off the back foot. When he throws off his back foot and his weight's back, that usually results in a high incompletion for him. And going back to this, it kind of had me thinking, kind of reminds me of basketball a little bit when you see like little guards, like a 5'11", 6-foot guard. And when he gets in the paint, he tends to fade away and try and get those fadeaway shots to go over the taller defender. What kind of reminds me of Bryce, with him only being about 5'11", 6 foot, whatever he wound up measuring in at. Does he lean back and throw off his back foot because he's trying to like escape that height and he's not able to confidently throw over everyone? That's one of the things that kind of plays in my head. When you see him miss, he misses off his back foot. If you just watch this game without me even mentioning that, you notice that firsthand. But that's what it kind of reminds me of, those like fadeaway jump shots. I think that's something he has to get rid of. Unfortunately, he's not most likely going to grow anymore, but that's a part of his game that's certainly his biggest flaw right now. His tendency to lean back and miss sometimes easy completions because he's just kind of lofting it off his back foot and he's not fully stepping into it, and that leads to some poor mechanics on his end. Another bit of a high miss there. This goes back to, I believe it was I forget if it was the LSU or the Tennessee game, but his like field awareness sometimes, especially when he's like backed up in his own end, not that great. Like there's a few instances through watching his film where he's had a few blunders in the end zone where he got lucky. This game he doesn't get lucky. He winds up getting sacked. I forget if it's this play or if it's coming up, but he gets sacked for a safety at one point, and he just is like unaware that he's like in the end zone. Like you can't hold on to the ball this long, Bryce, when you're in your own end zone. You're going to eventually get a safety, or if it's like a strip sack, they're recovering it for a touchdown. He has to have like better field awareness on these circumstances sometimes. I know it's 3rd and 7, like you have a potential to get another first down here, but at worst comes to worst, you're punting it away and make them go score on you. They only have put up 10 points on you today. Their quarterback's knocked out of the game as well. You still have a pretty good defense out there with Alabama. Live to see another down and don't really have to risk it all every single play, especially when you're in your own end zone. That's a thing that I've picked up on him a few times where he's had some blunders back there. Yep, like you're holding on to it too long. Like you have to have that mental clock in your head. Like, all right, catch the snap here. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Like 3 Mississippi, the ball's got to be out of your hands in the end zone. And he holds on to it a little too long there, winds up being a safety. But it's just, that's like one of those head scratching plays for a guy who seems like such a high IQ type football player. he really struggles on some of these sometimes, and this has popped up a few times. So results in a safety there, I believe, was the ruling on the field. But head scratching kind of smooth from him there, and it's popped up a few times in these games so far. It's another play that was just a disaster kind of from the start, not blocked well at all. The Texas really impressed me on the defensive end in this one. He steps up there, delivers an absolute seed. I know it's only like a five-yard catch, but still, when he steps up in the pocket, it doesn't get much better than that. This is where I was saying earlier, kind of like a Patrick Mahomes type runner, where he has a mobility, but he also is very smart, where he knows how valuable he is, and he doesn't have blazing speed. He doesn't have like a Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson type speed. He's very mobile. He can move. He can throw on the run, but he's only going to use his legs when he has to. I believe that play might have got called back for a hold, but it was 3rd and 4 there. He flushes the pocket, and he sees he's got grass in front of him, and he uses his legs to get the first down. That's what Mahomes does a lot, where push comes to shove, he's going to go get the first down with his legs if he needs to. We saw that firsthand in the Super Bowl. But one of the things I like about Bryce Young's game that kind of emulates Patrick Mahomes there. So 3rd and 9, like I said, I believe that one might have got called back for a hold. Subs up here. I believe he does the same thing, though. He's able to outrun his defender, just narrowly miss, or they do wind up giving him the first down, it looks like. But uses his legs there. That's another one where can't do much else. He delivers it through traffic onto the receiver, maybe a tad bit behind him, but still hits the receiver in his hands, and that results in a drop there. There's another 3rd and 7 where, all right, I see some green in front of me, and I have the ability to use my legs. We're in the second half now. We're in the 4th quarter. Let's use it. And he sees that it's man coverage there too, which is good. He sees that linebacker wind up covering the running back. He sees once his head turns and starts following the running back, he knows, all right, I have this grass in front of me. I'm going to use that to my advantage and go pick up a first down. And he's not afraid to sit in the pocket and deliver throws, which with mobile quarterbacks these days, you see them tend to flush a lot. That's a play I really like here. We'll see this from the back angle. It doesn't result in much, but as I've said throughout his film study, the biggest thing about Bryce Young, he loves to sit in the pocket, and he can beat you from there. He can dominate from there. But when he needs to, he's able to move, but he always is keeping his eyes downfield, always has the ball ready to throw. Even here, this is like a kind of weird throw. It looks like a shortstop or a second baseman turning a double play, but you'll see him flush out this way, kind of has to throw back across his body, but he sees a guy where he's like, all right, I might be able to get 7 or 8 yards on this compared to me maybe rushing in only getting 1 or 2, or maybe it just being a throwaway. His eyes are always downfield, and that's one of the things that the scouts and the analysts have said about him, that he's like an elite level processor, and you see that where he always knows where his reads are going to be. So you see him here, he kind of steps up there, flushes out to his right a little bit, keeps his eyes downfield, and he hits this guy there. Picks up, I believe it was 8 yards on that play. Another screen where I just don't like the play call there. Not the greatest pass from Young, but just don't like the play call in some of these scenarios. That one, he winds up throwing off his back foot, but he's not able to step up there. You see the rush here. This Alabama offensive line is not very good either. I'm just surprised this Texas team only wound up going like 8 and 4. This is a very impressive defensive performance by them. 4th and 3, he's very good on the money downs, like 3rd down, 4th down, when it matters most. He delivers more times than not. Kept pretty clean back here for the most part, but this is a tight window that he's going to have to deliver a pass into. Really able to step up and throw it into the gap there and move the chains on 4th and 3, where you're down 6, you don't get it here. They're already on they're on their own 34. They could potentially go down and end the game on the next drive. Bryce Young, there's some money down for him. Another down where I wouldn't have been surprised to see him potentially flush and use his legs, especially where it looks like this linebacker here is going to be covering Gibbs out of the backfield. But he steps up and delivers a nice pass through this pocket. You see it here. He's got that little zone in there, playing man underneath for the most part. Right over the referee's head and there for a completion. Bam, steps up, transfers that weight forward, delivers a seed. There's a touchdown here, and this goes right back to what I was just saying a few minutes ago. I love the back angle. I wish I could watch it from the back angle the entire game, but flushes out. They do a good job covering pretty much everyone on the back end. Flushes out, and they still have guys with the eyes on him where he's not able to just flush it out and run it into the end zone. So he uses that ability to, all right, I know these guys are looking at me. I know that they're spying on me, and they have me locked up. I'm not going to be able to score in the end zone. So let me at least trick them. Basically what he's doing. He's saying, let me trick him here. I'm going to run around. I'm going to make it look like I'm trying to escape and I'm trying to run it into the end zone. But really, he's keeping his eyes downfield the whole time. And that's what makes him so special, that he's able to keep his eyes downfield this whole time, process it, evade guys most of the time, evade these tacklers, and he delivers a nice ball to the end zone. Just watch him here. Just keeps his eyes downfield the whole time while he's moving, and a guy eventually breaks free, and he's able to take advantage of that and get a go-ahead touchdown here. And the footwork, too, just his ability to bounce around and stuff. Like, he's got 3 guys on him there. Eventually, a guy frees up for him, and they're able to score on that. Nice pass there to the outside. Shows good arm strength getting to the outside hash there for first down. That's as good as it gets right there. Guy bearing down on him, pressure coming. You see how excited his teammate is. But guy bearing down on him, pressure coming, doesn't shy away from it like he has on some of these throws, and he just flat out steps up, delivers an absolute bolt across the middle, gives his guy some room to run, and just a big-time first down right here. Takes a big hit, too. That's one of the hits where ideally you would like him to avoid, but this Texas defense, really impressive in this game for me. Another play there. We're kind of just moving the chains. You don't really see much deep action from them in this game. And like I said, they don't have the most talented guys on this one. But here's another play where, all right, 1st and 10 there. I understand I've been praising him about his ability to keep his eyes downfield while on the move, but he's got grass in front of him, and he still is kind of like waiting. He looks over his shoulder to see if anyone's chasing him. Just take off and go. Don't be afraid to slide, but just take off and go. Even if you're going to step up here, get your receiver to turn and try and hopefully block this DB or this linebacker, whatever this guy is, and just take off to the sideline at least. Don't withstand this hit that he takes eventually at the end here. At this point, just go. He's still looking to make a play. Just go. You're going to pick up 7-8 yards probably, even if you're just running towards the sideline there. All right, so nothing resulted, no points in that drive. Texas goes down and kicks a field goal. So they're down 19-17 here with 1:29 to go on their own 25. Bryce Young needs to lead them down the field to get into field goal position. Takes what the defense gives them. They're playing a little bit of prevent there. He's just trying to make his way down the field. They're bringing the pressure like they've done pretty much all afternoon. And this goes back to what I said about him taking what the defense gives him, but also his ability to hit these backs. This is a go-to play for Alabama throughout the season. This little angle route here to Jahmyr Gibbs. He's able to, on 2nd and 2 here, kind of get his guy into a one-on-one, and he puts the ball out perfectly, very catchable ball, and gives him some room to run after. Big first down. Next thing you know, you're at about the 45-yard line. Out route there, keeping it away from the middle of the field. Ideally, his guy would get out of bounds there. Same kind of play there. Toe at 2, I believe that is. All right, you're at 35 seconds here. This is the play of the game. This is the play. I remember watching this live. I remember exactly where I was. I was at the General Davis, watching this at the bar, and everyone's like, oh my God, Texas might do it. Texas might do it. I remember coming into this game, I think Bama was like a 17.5-point favorite or something. And it looked like they were going to win when Quinn Ewers was playing, and he got knocked out early. But this guy is a free rusher coming off the corner. So I believe this safety drops back here, obviously, or that would be like a walk-in touchdown. But this goes back to what I was saying, where his ability to stop on a dime, make a guy miss, and then keep his eyes downfield, where most times he's looking to throw. This time he does that Patrick Mahomes type run where, all right, I make the guy miss. That was the one guy who was responsible for me. Everyone else now is pretty much either getting blocked by my linemen or back in coverage. He tucks it and runs, and this goes from I got it right here. Avoid sack, rushes for first down. I have. He's down at about the 48-yard line if he gets sacked on this play. Instead, he rushes to the 17-yard line. They're in field goal position, and they're in position to win the game. If he gets sacked here, they're at the 48. There's about 30 seconds left, and they got to use their last timeout. Winning is pretty slim to none. This would be a 30. This would be like a 10, 11-yard sack most likely. So that you're looking at about 2nd and 20, 2nd and 21. Instead, he does this, and this is what really sets him apart, I think, from potentially any other quarterback in this class, his ability to do this. That quick twitch, ability to stop on a dime, make a guy miss, and then make him pay with your legs is very special by Bryce Young. So here we go. Watch this entire play unfold. Keep your eyes on this free rusher here. And bam, sees the grass in front of him, sees jerseys. When he sees the numbers and the names on the guy's back, he knows it's his chance to go. You'll see it better from this back angle here, but this is just a special play by a quarterback who is projected to be maybe the number 1 overall pick. I remember watching that right there thinking, oh, God, this is over. Makes a miss. Like, that's special. That's very special. His ability to pen, get under that. And he's still looking to throw the ball too, which is funny, but he's able to keep his eyes downfield and go. A couple incompletions here. They do get one more completion that sets them up for a field goal attempt for the eventual win. The other 2 Alabama games I broke down, they lost. But that play right there really stuck out to me the most and just showed Bryce Young's overall ability to just go out there and make plays when there's no plays to be had. And he makes the most of his situation where I know it's Alabama. I'm talking about like they're talent deprived. They still have a bunch of talented guys, but not what they used to. Like I would have loved to see him with what Jalen Hurts was working with and what Mac Jones was working with. But my overall summary of the game, I have it written down. Talent and the scheme around him, I thought limited him in certain capacities. Makes a few wow plays though, like we just saw that one at the end. That other one where he makes a guy miss and he had what would have been probably a 25, 30-yard completion, but his receiver dropped the ball. Just ability to stop and start, avoid tacklers is awesome, is a very special trait. And I think he's great at working the ball to the running backs, as we touched on. Overcomes obstacles, I think, though, throughout the game. Not the most talented Alabama team, and a great game plan by Texas on defense here, especially with all the rushers that they were bringing at him, throwing pressure at him all night. And he overcomes those, and he's able to lead his team to a victory. He does have some repetitive issues that we've seen, throwing off the back foot, missing high, and potentially holding on to the ball too long when he's in his own team's end, but still very, very enticing quarterback prospect. I'm excited to get into CJ Stroud specifically next. I think those are my top 2 guys, but I'll be getting to him next. We'll be getting to Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, and at least Hendon Hooker, hammering out those 5 at least, and then making one big final list. But I gave him a 7.5 out of 10 in this one, and I believe I gave him a 7 out of 10 in the LSU game and an 8 out of 10 in the Tennessee game. So I don't know if I'm as high on him as others, but you see the tools and the traits there. There's just certainly some stuff I would like to see him clean up. But a quarterback prospect that is limited in overall size and weight, but he makes up for it, I think, in IQ 9 times out of 10. Like I said, a few blunders potentially in his own end in terms of trying to make plays when they're not there. But he does some special stuff with avoiding tacklers and some really high-level throws when he has his proper mechanics. So that's my final evaluation there on Bryce Young. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of Breakdowns with Beef, the Bryce Young Texas edition. Thank you, everyone, like I said, for tuning in. Make sure if you haven't already, go tap into those other ones. We'll have more draft content coming up, as well as some mock drafts. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will talk next time.